Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of building the Tantive IV in Lego. And first of all, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Teagles216 for the $50 donation on the last update. Your generosity, Teagles, is amazing. I can't thank you enough for your continued support of this build. It really has helped massively. Now, this week was a very stressful week. I had to rush back to the UK for a family emergency. All's okay now. Thank you for all those people that left a comment on the post that I popped on the channel. I really do appreciate the kind words that were there. So we did manage to get back, and we've managed to get a couple of days building done. So without further ado, let's get into the video of what I recorded before I went away and what I recorded afterwards. Now, in the last update, I was working on the side sections here. So we've got this completed here and also on the other side. In this update, I will be working on the greebling here and also getting this part here all tied up as well. But the first thing I want to turn my attention to is the gun at the top here. Now, I'm not happy with this gun. It's not looking how I want it to. It's a little bit too big, I think. But the other thing I do need to work on is this section just here. The attachment points are just really untidy, and I need to replicate this on the bottom of here. So at the moment, I've just got the anti-studs on the bottom, so I need to find a good connection point for that, and also work out how I'm going to attach the gun to that. So I need to make sure there's plenty of strength down there and it's not going to fall off. So without further ado, let's get the bricks and plates out and let's get started. And here we have our new cannon as opposed to our old one. And as you can see, they're so much cleaner, tidier, smoother. And I think it's a lot more screen accurate as well. One part that I was really struggling with initially was this part here, this slope. So I was using the 3x2 slope here, whereas on this one, I've used one of these slopes here. It's almost like a slope tile, and that's worked out a lot better for me. Now, this grey bit here, I will be swapping over for a white one. As you can see, it's very easy for me to remove it. So once I've got the white ones in, I'll swap them over. I have got 4. Stole these off of my Obi-Wan Starfighter, so I will replace them. But yeah, I'll put these ones on the other cannon. This what I make to go on the bottom of the vessel. This one would be a lot easier to amend being on the top, because I'm not going to be pulling any parts. But I'm hoping that the 8x8 area on the bottom here is going to give me plenty of connection points to attach this to the bottom of the Tantive IV. Now, in regards to these guns here, these ones here, over time, they just continually want to drop down. There's very little friction on there to keep it permanently in place. Whereas on this one, I've actually put a clip there, as you can see, inside those modified round plates there. The fact the whole gun here wants to move, you don't need to worry about that, because of the shape of this. Once it's attached to the build, it's not going to go anywhere. So that flat edge on the wedge plate there, that stops that from moving. There is an interior in here. I do still need to put the chair in there, but minifigure fits in perfectly. On this one here, I was trying to put lights into it, so when the minifigure was sat in there, I had to make the cockpit area that much taller. So that was a mistake when I was designing that one. But yeah, when I look at the front of that, how ugly that is compared with the sleekness of that one. And again, on the back here, I've got the detail here that I was really looking to get. On this one, I was struggling, and yeah, I don't know what was going on when I was building this one. It just, nothing worked. Never happy with it, but now we finally are, which is all good. With the cannons here as well, this one I've got the additional cone on here. This was a part that I was aware of. It was on my Torrent Starfighter, but I didn't want to borrow off it, so I've ordered 4 of those in, as you can see here, whereas before I was just using this dish here. But yeah, happy that we finally got the cannon that we were looking for. Now what I'm going to do is just find out all the pieces to make a second one of these and get that all replicated, and then we have the fun task of trying to attach it to the bottom of the ship. And there we have both the guns made up. This time we've got the white pieces in, and it's amazing how much difference just a little bit of correction with the colour makes on there. One thing I was considering doing was changing the glass over on here to the trans blue, just to give it a little bit of a pop of colour. So I may very well have a look at doing that as well. This gun turret here, the lid doesn't pop off that easily. I've attached it on numerous studs on both sides, as I don't want it falling off when it's at a convention. But now we've got this made up, let's work out how we're going to do the ring that goes around the bottom of this section just here, and how we're going to attach the gun to the bottom. And we've had to make a very slight amendment to the cannons here. This section here has changed. These weren't working at all. The barrel weight was too much and you just kept wanting to rotate. So I've actually fixed this in place, but due to the fact that this is at a 45-degree angle compared to the studs, as you can see, what I've actually had to do is use some Technic pieces here, the 1x1s. They're on the studs at a weird angle, and then I've used these snot bricks here as well, just to get everything as rounded as possible, and then this clips onto the top to keep it all firmly in place. So yeah, we just had to come up with that creative way of making this stay in place. Otherwise the guns would have always been pointing directly downwards. On the top it's not so much of an issue, as there are things I can prop it up with, but on the bottom it did need to be amended. But I will change the other gun over as well, so it's the same style. And I do think this adds a little bit more detail to the build, other than the original one of just using the small curved bricks just here. I'm still wondering whether or not to replace the dish on the end with this part as I had on the original gun. But again, this is something I can add a lot further down the line once I found the other two of those out, should I wish to do so. And this is the technique that I've decided I'm going to try first of all for attaching the gun to the bottom of the ship. So I'm using the brackets here, and I've done it so they're on both sides. And where you've got these 2x8 plates, that's keeping it all together nicely. So there should be no problem at all with this breaking up. It's just whether or not the 32 studs on this side and this side are going to be sufficient to hold the heavy gun in place. Now the one problem I have got is underneath here, as you can see, we've just got these 2x8 plates. So at the moment we would only be connecting on that beam in the middle there, although it's not focusing very well, this one just here. So what I need to do now is strip off the panels around the side here, get those plates off and plate off that entire area as best I can. And once I've done that, then we can attach this to it, see if it's strong enough. If it is, then I will start working on doing the ring around the bottom. And I've had to make a very slight amendment to the structure just here, so they're sticking out by a couple of studs. And that's just so that this flat edge of the gun section stops the guns from dropping. Otherwise, when they're on there, all they want to do is just go down to the bottom there. So by having that at that angle there, the brick is keeping that flat edge, oh, if I can get with my finger, just keeping that flat edge there all in place. So now we've got that all sorted, let's attach it to the bottom of there, and then it's going to give us a good idea of how it's all looking. I'm going to have it so the guns are pointing forward on here, as otherwise they're just going to be in the way of the stand. You're not going to be able to see that much detail. And there we have the gun all attached, and the stud connection is absolutely perfect, holding it nicely in place on there. I have actually put it in the wrong place, need to come forward by a bit, but at least I know that the technique is all going to work absolutely fine. It's just now a case of working out how we're going to be going about doing that ring around the side. As I mentioned previously, I wasn't 100% happy with that, so if I can just simplify that one on the top there, or the half that survived, that would be really good. So yeah, we'll have a good think about that. One thing I'm going to do just for the time being though, I'm just going to turn my attention over to this section just here, get that panel all sorted and get this a little bit tidied up here, because at the moment you see these ugly filler bricks and whatnot in the way there. So yeah, let's get that bit sorted out, and then I'll turn my attention back to the cannons a little bit later. And it's starting to come together here. There are a few gaps along this section here, but I'm not that worried about them, as I feel like due to this being a cut section, it wouldn't be completely solid down there. You'd have pipe work going through and all that sort of thing. So I'm happy to leave that as it is. There are a few ugly gaps around this section just here, and you can see a red bit through there. And this is something I will address a little bit later on, but for the time being, I think it's fine just to leave it as it is. So I'm going to turn my attention to is this section just here now, and start adding the greebling and all those other details to give it that finished look. And here on screen is an image of the details that we're going to be adding onto the vessel, and it looks pretty straightforward. There's a lot of smooth lines on there, so it's not a load of the more intricate greebling details that we've added to the side of the vessel. Now in this image, the majority of it does look like it's more white than it is grey. However, I am going to be building over the grey bricks, so hopefully it's going to look great once it's all finished. If there is a little bit more grey showing and it doesn't quite look white, then I'm just going to be using artistic license, as I'm sure that the way that we're going about this is going to work out right in the long run. And that's the greebling all completed on this side. So all I need to do now is just replicate that on the other side as well. I did amend the panel on the back there, as you'd have seen in the timeline. That was just so I had more connection points for the plates that went on there. But I think the building technique was the best way forward, doing a brick wall, adding the snot bricks, and then plating over the top of it. I wasn't expecting it to be these sort of colours with the dark tan, for example, but I do think it just adds that a little bit more to the overall build. I'm just considering changing this cylinder up here to a light bluish grey. I think that might look a little bit tidier. But what I also need to do is put some 2x red plates along here, then the 1x, and then tile underneath that. So that's something I just need to try and find out within my collection. And also looking at the source material, I think this needs to be red here as well on this corner section. So again, I'll just find some red tiles out and get that all amended a little bit further. But what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take the top section off just here, attach the gun, and then I'll start working on the surround that's going on there. And previously I had it so the guns were pointing backwards, but due to the fact that I've got these guns here pointing forwards, I want to do the same on the top. And there we have the red line all completed on the side of the ship. And we've got a little bit more reddish brown than normal on here to give it that more weathered feel. Somebody has suggested using grey on there to make it more screen accurate. However, I'm not convinced that it is going to look as good on here due to the shapes of the bricks. I could use the triangular shaped tiles, but again, I'm not convinced by it. So I will experiment on the cockpit section, see how that looks. Then if it does look like it is a way that I can make it work, then I will amend a couple of bits there. It's just a case of peeling the tiles off, so it's not a big deal. On the top of the build here, we have put the front section on here. I can't go any further back as I've run out of these sloped tile pieces here. In fact, I actually had to borrow 4 from this section so I could complete the second gun. But yeah, it's something we will, as soon as I get my next order in with the slopes in, we'll complete that section there and also work on the bottom one. I have worked out how I'm going to be attaching on the bottom, and it's going to be strong enough, so I'm not worried about that. We'll be able to get that sorted at a later date. With the guns here, I did see an image this week where it looks like there's actually 2 parts that come out on the front here. So I'm going to be losing those cones there, putting a tile on there, and then have 2 separate parts coming out to make it a little bit more screen accurate. But one thing I do need to work on in the next update is getting the lights put back in here, the wireless connector on the top, but I want to get the cockpit section under the bottom here all sorted as well as the slope that goes down here. I think once I get those sorts of things done, it's going to make such a difference to the overall look of the vessel. This has got a little bit damaged here, but it's a very quick and easy fix, and I'm going to have a good sort through my pieces this week, as I'm sure I can get a lot more of the cockpit section all completed. But all in all, for the time we've had on the build this week, really happy with how it's coming along. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building the Tantive IV in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Bye. Till the next time. Bye for now.